Welcome to 6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. Beginning today in North America, where Mexico is seeking to extradite a famous commander of the Sinaloa cartel who is believed to have silenced a journalist for covering the cartel and their drug activities. From BBC, quote, Mexican authorities say the journalist's assassination was ordered by Damaso Lopez Sereno, a former high-ranking member of the Sinaloa drug cartel. Lopez Sereno was arrested on fentanyl trafficking charges in Virginia on the 13th of December. At a news conference this week, Mexican Attorney General Alejandro Gertz said that Lopez Sereno was the mastermind of the Valdez killing. Quote, we have already prosecuted the rest of the perpetrators, and they are all in jail, he said. Darting across the Pacific to Asia, Macau is receiving the president of China, the Chinese Communist Party, on its 25th anniversary of being a part of the nation. From Reuters, Xi's, quote, is likely during his 3-day visit to urge further diversification of its casino industry. Xi's trip to the world's biggest gambling hub is his third as president, during which he will attend the inauguration of the territory's new chief executive elected in October. Xi last visited in 2019 when anti-government protests were rocking the neighboring financial hub of Hong Kong. A special administrative region of China, Macau is the only place in the country where gambling is legal, and its economy is heavily dependent on the casino industry, which contributes about 80% of regional tax revenue, end quote. We next journey south to New Zealand, where the numbers released this week show a less than promising economic future for the country and the population of 5.4 million. From Reuters, quote, markets added to wagers the Reserve Bank of New Zealand would slice rates further, having already cut by 125 basis points to 4.25%. Swaps now implied a 70% probability of a 50 basis points cuts in February, and the rates were seen declining to 3% by the end of 2025. Thursday's data showed gross domestic product dived by 1% in the September quarter from the prior quarter, dwarfing market forecasts of a 0.2% contraction. The June quarter was revised to show a fall of 1.1%, and 2 straight quarters of decline is the technical definition of a recession. Setting aside the pandemic, this is the largest 2-quarter decline since the painful deep downturn of 1991, end quote. Coming to Europe, where a Russian general was killed in the center of Moscow this week, bringing the realities of the war close to home. From BBC, quote, when Lieutenant General Igor Kilrov and his assistant, Ilya Pekkarkov, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir, were killed by a bomb concealed on an electric scooter. The reality of Russia's war on Ukraine hit home, at least to those Russians close to the crime scene. Quote, it's one thing reading about it in the news, it feels far, but when it happens next door to you, that's completely different and frightening, Liz told me. She lives 1 building from the site of the blast, end quote. Russian authorities have arrested a suspect in the case and are continuing to search for any other parties that may have been involved. Next to South America, where Brazil is also facing financial trouble, though in this case based on the value of their local currency, the real. From Reuters, quote, Brazil's real tumbled by the most in over 2 years to a fresh record low on Wednesday. The local currency hit its weakest ever mark of 6.31 to the dollar before closing down 2.9% at 6.28. It was the largest daily decline since November 2022. The cost of ensuring exposure to the country's bond debt was at a 14-month high, with investors anxious as Latin America's largest economy faces a deepening financial market crisis. Investors have been doubtful that lawmakers will be able to pass the main part of a fiscal bill aimed at pulling the government finances on a more sustainable footing. We finished today in Africa, where a fire was started in the legislative building of Liberia. Multiple people have already been brought in for questioning. From BBC, quote, residents of the capital of Monrovia woke up on Wednesday morning to see thick black smoke and flames rising from the Capitol building. The flames destroyed the entire joint chambers of the legislature, but no one was in the building at the time. 4 individuals, including Speaker Jonathan Fontai Kufa and Representative Frank Shaw Foucault, have been brought in for questioning. Liberia's chief of police, Gregory Coleman, said. And if you want to check out any of today's articles and you want to go through and read them yourself, all the links will be in the description below that like and subscribe button. Also down there, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Podvine, and if you want to listen to the normal podcast, which is more about American politics, questions about where we're going, the economic situation, policy, all that, it will come out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday over here at the YouTube channel or at the RSS feed. And if you want to listen to a little bit less scripted content, more off the top of the dome, I'm reposting some of the old Twitter tirades over at the Twitter handle at Your Daily Flip. So with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe, don't die.